Son of a bitch.
Groovy.
Hey everybody, this is Matthew Movies coming at you with the latest in my movie discussion series. And this time, instead of tackling a classic film and its remake and comparing the two of them, or looking at a style of film or a genre or what have you, this time around I'm going to be talking about something that's seasonal, and that is Halloween movies that you can play while handing out candy. Now, I am a parent and I like to give out candy even before I was a parent, and I understand the whole idea that, you have all these kids coming knocking on your door looking for candy, so you want to kind of have something on that you can watch that you will get you in that Halloween mood, but it's not going to freak out those kids, because if they walk in and you open the door and in the background you have Freddy or Jason killing somebody in grisly fashion, that's going to freak out that kid, upset those parents, ruin their nights, take away from the festivities, and nobody wants to do that, right? But at the same time, you want to be in that Halloween mood. So what movies can you put on? That's what we're here to discuss tonight. And right off the hop, I gotta tell you, the very first movie that I ever bought on VHS, it started my obsession with collecting movies, and I think it really added to my love of watching movies and discussing movies, is a classic kids movie called Ernest Scared Stupid. An Ernest P. Worrell movie that is very, very much seasonal to this time of year. It features him taking on these troll creatures there's a voodoo element to the whole thing, and he teams up with some kids. He's doing his impersonations. It is very much very friendly, but there are these creatures, so it feels very seasonal, and to me, I think is one of the perfect films to put on at this time of year. A pair of films that I think absolutely hits the mark to perfection are the 1990s Addams Family movies, the Angelica Houston, Raul Julia, Christopher Lloyd, Christina Ricci movies that I think are just perfect for this time of year. I mean, they have so many of the kind of hallmarks of the horror genre, where you have these beings that just, they love the darker side of life, and visually speaking, it's very dark and dingy and grisly, but at the same time, it's all about family, and it's very fun-loving films, and the character is just, they're very passionate, and I think, again, just really works to perfection. Both movies, both The Addams Family and Addams Family Values. And then there's another movie that I think kind of rides the line. It depends on your point of view, but The Monster Squad, I think, has a lot up to it that fits perfectly. I mean, it is the story of a bunch of kids who are obsessed with these monsters, and they end up taking them on. But I will say there are a couple moments that may be a little bit intense for a certain age of kids that come to your door. So if you're going to put this one on, you might want to have that remote in hand as the film progresses, and pause during some of the more freaky scenes, because when I was a kid in the 80s, this was a lot more easier for kids to take, but things have gotten a lot softer in this day and age, so you don't want to freak any kids out. So you might want to hold on to that pause button, and then depending on the visual that's on screen, you might even need to turn off that TV before answering that door. Another movie though that I think is very, 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 very well crafted for this kind of concept is Beetlejuice. Again, it's funny and fun, and there's a lot of comedy to it, and there's a very comedic energy to it, but at the same time, there's a lot of darkness to it, and some pretty intense moments. People turning their faces into these weird monstrous creations, and having their head off and their hands, that kind of thing. I think it fits the mold to perfection. And there's another movie that I think a lot of people would think about very, very quickly, that I gotta tell you, I'm not the biggest fan of, but I felt like I need to throw on in this list, because it definitely applies for a lot of people, and that is Hocus Pocus. I can tell you, my wife adores this movie, and for her, it absolutely is probably one of the ones she would think about first, and I'm sure she is far from the only one that belongs in that category. So it's definitely one that I had to bring up. And then, if you're looking for one with a little bit of a musical tint to it, you can throw on Little Shop of Horrors, which again, it has a lot of the themes of these movies, and I think works to perfection. And a lesser known movie that I also feel like really applies here is Stay Tuned. It's a spoof film from the '90s that stars well, I wanted to say Harrison Ford there, but that's just completely wrong. It's John Ritter, of course. And basically, the concept of this movie, if you've never heard of it, he gets dragged into the world of television. He gets this satellite that this being that turns out to be associated with the devil puts it in his backyard, and it pulls him in. And so he's going from whenever they turn the TV, he's going to a new show. But all the shows, like it'll be like Wayne's World, but instead of just being Wayne and Garth, it'll be kind of dead versions of them. And so he's dealing with all these grisly beings throughout the whole movie, but it spoofs a lot of classic films, so it has a comedy bend to it as well. And then I'd be absolutely remiss if I didn't bring up Ghostbusters. Both those movies, I think, work for this time of year, as do both Gremlins movies. I mean, I go into them both more, but I feel like everybody knows these movies, and they absolutely, I think, hit the mark for this time of year. And again, another movie that I think is very much lesser known that would fit very well is a movie called My Boyfriend's Back. It is a zombie movie, but it's a zombie teen romance movie where basically the main character becomes a zombie. He comes back to life, and he has this desire to eat flesh and all that, but he's also still a human being, and he still has all the same emotions as you or I do, and he has this girl that he is infatuated with, and so he's basically living his life as a zombie while at the same time trying to stave off this desire to eat people. So it doesn't really have moments of him like attacking people. There's no gore or anything like that. There's a couple of fantasy sequences where he's seeing himself do it, but it's him holding up a cartoonishly bad looking leg and that kind of thing. So I think it was perfectly fine. And if you're looking for one that's even more kid friendly, you can throw on Casper. Now, as far as the animated side of things go, right off the hop, it makes me think of Paranorman, which I think is just a very underrated and underseen film that is so creative and just looks fantastic and very heartwarming. It has the kind of the undead coming back to life as well, but there's the core of the story is this kid who is very lovable, and his friend who's lovable, and a group of kids that all come together to try to help out the situation. I think it is great. And in the same vein, you also have Coraline, which is a lot creepier than some people think that it is. Those who haven't seen it, where it's basically this girl who finds this door into this kind of pocket dimension where a version of her life is there, but it's like her mom there, but the mom has buttons for over her eyes, and she tries to bring Coraline into her world and make her have buttons for eyes, and so there's this kind of very off-putting, unsettling element to it as well, which I think works. And then if you're thinking about animated movies with kind of a dark tinge to them, you get the name Tim Burton has to come up, because you have The Nightmare Before Christmas and Corpse Bride that absolutely come to mind. And Nightmare Before Christmas, of course, is also a Christmas movie as well, for sure. But I think absolutely works for this time of year because it's the Nightmare Before Christmas, and Corpse Bride is a much more straight forward film that is seasonal to this time of year, as is Frankenweenie, which is a movie that I have a great deal of affection for, because I loved the short film back in the day that is on the Nightmare Before Christmas Blu-ray. So if you've never seen the live action version of it, I absolutely suggest you check it out. And beyond that, if you want to check out one of Tim Burton's best efforts ever, in my view, it's a very short film, but you could put it on as well. It's a movie called Vincent, where it's all about this kid who's obsessed with Vincent Van Gogh, or Vincent Price, I should say. Vincent Van Gogh, Vincent Price, the same person, right? But no, he's obsessed with Vincent Price and the dark side of the world and all that kind of stuff. And he kind of his point of view kind of reminds me a bit of Harold and Maude, that kind of dark obsession. And it's short, it's animated. And Vincent Price actually is the one who does the voiceover on it. So absolutely awesome. I highly recommend it. But if you're looking for a couple movies with monsters in it that kind of fit the theme a little bit more, you can look at some more modern movies like Hotel Transylvania that has some pretty lovable characters in it as well. It's an Adam Sandler movie, but you know, I think it's a pretty good family movie. It's not fantastic by any stretch of the imagination. You can watch that sequel, or you know, Monsters Inc., which of course is an extraordinarily good movie, and Monsters University as well. It would absolutely work as well. So those are some of the examples of movies that I could think of that would, I think, fit that kind of experience, the giving out candy mode. So let me know in the comment section below if there's other movies that you think that I missed out on that absolutely should have been a part of my list of movies, and if you do the same as I do, you put on kind of more family-friendly horror films for handing out candy, or what if you know, say screw that and put on the dark, the deadly films that, you know, adult or much more adult friendly. But other than that, though, please hit that like button, hit that share button. It makes it much more likely that other people will come check out this review and let me know what they think, which would be awesome because I love talking to people about movies. And speaking of which, if you are new here or you just haven't done it yet, please hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you can come check out some more of my movie discussions and my movie reviews, because I love hearing your feedback, and it would be awesome if you were one of the people who gave me that feedback. So aside from all that, though, have yourself a good day.